So the problem I have is I would like to be able to monitor my recordings on an external monitor without having to buy one. So I have a iPad 12.9-inch Pro that's 4 years old, has the USB connection. And in the Apple iOS 17, you have that ability to use an HDMI capture card. So I bought myself an inexpensive, cheap capture card on Amazon, and I wanted to test this out. What I wanted to accomplish was I want to be able to record the LCD screen if I wanted to do a demo or a tutorial on my camera, so you could see the menu. You could also see all of the information on the LCD when you're doing a test shot. So that was one thing. The other thing is I want to be able to monitor from far away my recording, my video recording of myself without having to just use the tiny LCD screen on the XS20. So I tried a few things. I tried the Axon CMO and was going to use that with my iPhone. For me, it's a decent solution. It definitely did what it said it was going to do, but for the cost of it, I just didn't really think it was worth it, especially with the fact that I can use the iPad now. And I would rather use the iPad than use my phone, because my phone I'll probably have to put in airplane mode, I'll forget to turn it back, I'll miss a call, I'll miss a text, and you'll get those interruptions when you are using it as a monitor. So the only way to stop that is to put it in airplane mode. So don't really want to do that. So I'd rather use the iPad for that. So again, Axon CMO I tried. It was okay. It's bulky. I've got to get a battery for it. It was just more than I wanted to do on the budget that I've set aside for this. So the other option would be like a Ninja 5, because you have the ability to record, but that is way outside the price that I would want to spend for what I'm doing right now. So that ruled that out. So I just wanted something simple. And I don't want to use something with Wi-Fi, because then it's going to lag and there'll be that disconnect. So I didn't want that either. I wanted something that was directly connected to the camera. So the capture card fixes that problem for me. So again, I've got an HDMI cable, a braided one. It looks like it's just a 4K HDMI cable. And it's got that micro HDMI end here. And as you well know, that's what the XS20 has, and I hate those things. They're just so delicate. You feel like you're going to break the cable, the jack, something in the camera is going to break at any moment if you were to accidentally pull the cord or hit it or something. So yes, the XH2S would be a much better option if you are going to be using this all the time. I don't think I'm going to be doing it all the time, so it's okay. I'm not going to be plugging in this HDMI into the camera very often. I'm going to do a review on the XS20 very soon, and I'll have some thoughts on that. So anyway, I got the capture card, and I can plug it in. That solves the problem. I didn't even need to get an expensive capture card. Like, I thought about getting the Elgato one, and it was even on sale over the holiday time for $79, but this was way less than that. And I'll share a link for this one in the description. The other thing I did was I got the CamX free app on the iPad, and I was able to connect it. So we'll jump into the rest of the video and you'll get to see that. Now we are going to go ahead and get the camera connected to the iPad. And the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and plug in the micro HDMI into the camera. All right, I am recording on my iPhone the video here of the iPad so that you can see it. So I've got my iPad and I've got my cable and I've got the USB-C connector here on the end. It also came with an adapter for the A, but I don't need that. So I'm going to just go ahead and plug this into my iPad. And once that's plugged in, I can go to this CamX app and start that up. Oh. Turn that sound system thing off. Okay, so I stopped the recording, I started it back up, and it is going through into the iPad. So I'm recording this on my iPhone so that you can see the screen of the iPad, but I'm also going to tap record here on there, and it's actually going to be recording the screen of the iPad onto, my iPad photos. It's going to go, there'll be a video file of that there. So that'll just be the screen. What I'm recording on my iPhone right now, that's showing the iPad sitting here on the desk, that would be one way to do this. But like I said, I would like to be able to record the menus on my phone, or even do a demo of shooting some things and seeing all of the information that you see on the LCD or in the viewfinder, to have all that show up on the recording of the screen. So as I'm talking to you right now on the camera, it's also being recorded on my iPhone, and it's also being recorded on the iPad. Thought I'd show you one more quick thing here. So you can also watch the playback of your video on your iPad as well. Got the camera set in playback, and I'm just going to press the joystick down and get it to start playing. It would be great if it had audio, but it doesn't. One of the things that I had to change was just turn off the audio capture. At least I think that is helping. And then turn on sound system, and then close the app, reattach, open it back up. Sometimes you have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it to work. But if my capture card that I bought on Amazon, I'll leave a link for that. So I'm getting sound out of it now, and I can just watch the playback on this, which I think is pretty handy. I think that helps quite a bit. Okay, so what are my conclusions about using my iPad as a camera monitor? Well, I think it works great for the budget that I've allowed, which was like $45. And that includes getting the capture card plus an HDMI to micro HDMI cable to hook up to the X-S20. Now, whether or not I'll be able to mount the gigantic 12.9-inch iPad on top of that small rig cage that my X-S20 is on, that's another story. I'm not 100% convinced that's going to work. But for my needs right now, for what I wanted to do, this definitely solves the problem. Another option that I saw recently, which is from Viltrox, which is a camera monitor, doesn't do recording, but it does have an HDMI jack going back out where I could still record to the iPad with the capture card. For that cost, you get the added tools and monitoring tools. You get, waveform, vector scope, false color. You get all of these things with that, which I'm not getting on the iPad with the CamX app that I'm using. So that's not an option. All I'm getting to see is whether this thing is, the video is in focus, and I get to do a playback on it. And for right now, I think that works out good. But I would definitely test out the Viltrox DC550 if I was able to get that. I'm curious though, if you are not a professional shooter, what are you using, or are you using an external monitor, and do you see a need for one? Anyway, thanks very much. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, well then please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a lot, and I appreciate it. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one.